Dan Graziano, who covers the NFL for the Mothership, joins us. The National NFL Insider. Get the official title there for you, Dan. The Julian Edelman defense is what?
Well, my understanding on Edelman is that the appeal rests on a couple things. One, as has been reported earlier, that they couldn't really identify what the substance was. And then apparently there was some sort of mishandling of the information, whether it was the documentation or the delivery of the information regarding his positive test to the NFL. Something got messed up there. And so those two things, as I understand it, are the two key prongs of the defense on that appeal hearing that's being held today.
Okay, but why don't they know what the substance is? Like, is it this?
I don't know.
Like this great mystery? Like we've never seen this substance before. We have no idea what it is.
Right. Well, I mean, look, there are drug tests that are designed to identify certain types of substances, and it's not out of the question, I don't think, that you could stumble on one that the test is not built to figure out. I don't want to get into speculation on what kind of drug. I mean, I don't know, I'm a scientist. Like, I don't know from how drug tests work, but my understanding is that this one stumped the test, whatever that was, and whether it's something that the test isn't designed to test for, or whether it's something that they just don't know what it is. It's a sort of a previously unheard of thing. I don't really know, but there's some murkiness to this whole thing. The key thing to understand, though, Dan, this isn't a part of the process we usually get to see. We don't usually hear about the suspension until after the appeal is heard.
Yeah.
This got reported by Field Yates and Adam Schefter a few weeks ago, and that's the only reason that we really are, we have these details is because, we found out about the suspension much earlier than we usually do, and quite frankly, are supposed to.
Do we care if these guys test positive for steroids?
Well, I do. I'm a dinosaur. I was a baseball writer 14 years, still have a Hall of Fame vote. I don't vote for the guys I think cheated. That's me.
Okay.
I understand that's sort of a fading, almost outdated idea. But to me, if I'm paying money to watch a game, buy a beer, park my car, and I'm paying what it costs to see these games, I would like to see an honest game. So yeah, I mean, I personally think that it's important to find out who's cheating and who's not. But that's me.
What if Edelman just came out and said, well, I just feel like, baseball's a little bit different than football, that we sort of identify, like we would be doing steroids or HGH if we played in the NFL. Like our mind says, man, I can't blame you. I would do it too, considering what happens to your body. Hey, Edelman's coming back from an injury at his age, and, he took a shortcut here. I don't know if he just came out and did like Andy Pettit and said, look, I took it. I was just trying to help my team and come back, and that we moved on from Andy Pettit pretty quickly. So I don't know.
We did. I remember that.
Yeah.
I was covering the Yankees back then. Pettit actually found each of us in spring training next year and personally apologized to everybody that covered the team. Like he was, So when people are authentic like that, it definitely helps. But that doesn't mean, the rules are in place for whatever reason. So if the NFL thought it was okay to use these drugs, then they wouldn't test for them, right?
Did Clemens apologize to any of the beat writers?
Dude, come on. No. He still says he didn't do anything. Right? He'll go to his grave saying he didn't do anything. No, we didn't. We never got that from Roger.
Why is that he just won't admit it?
I don't know. I guess it's possible he's innocent, but it certainly seems like that there's plenty of evidence. So I think he's just he always struck me as one of these guys that just, if I say it loud enough, then it'll be true, right? I don't know. We've kind of got off the rails here a little bit.
Yeah, you just keep reminding yourself, and then all of a sudden, you believe it. And look at OJ.
Right, exactly.
OJ just kept telling himself the same story, and then he started to believe it. So, not surprised.
Yeah.
Dan Graziano, ESPN National NFL Insider. The information. So you had the security breach with Edelman. We've seen that with Jameis Winston as well. The NFL has not had any statement here on his suspension, but now it's possibly 3 games. How do we get to possibly 3 games, Dan?
Well, I think what Adam reported last week was that the NFL is planning on making it a 3-game suspension, but that it still could go up or down depending on other factors. Look, my understanding on Winston is that the thing is not yet settled. That obviously 3 games is a possibility, but I also think it's still possible it could be fewer. It could be. Look, if it's violence against a woman, then the precedent right now says 6. So if it's going to be something less than 6, then I think the league has to be prepared to explain why. And that's an awfully awkward position for them to be in. So I think there's a lot going on there. I still think there's something going on there between the accuser and Winston that could result in some sort of legal action there. And I don't know whether it's a matter of the league wanting to see what happens with that or them wanting to see what the league does. So there's a lot of, I think, voices yet to be heard on that matter.
If you're the Buccaneers, would you move on from Jameis Winston?
Well, on what grounds? That you can't rely on him? That he represents something you don't want to represent? Like what? I mean, this is an incident, and again, let's make sure we're not trying to minimize it. We're not. It's an incident from 2.5 years ago. Did he keep it from you? Does that affect your trust in him?
I just can't have him as
him he didn't already know. I guess yeah.
I can't have him as the face of the franchise. I don't think he's.
But they already made that decision when he came out of college with really, unfortunately, shady stuff attached to him. They already made the decision that they were okay with that. This is one more thing, and it's similar to something else we had heard about in previous. And if I were the Bucs, would I have taken Mariota instead? Probably. But they made their peace with Winston, and that's so the extent to which it's still okay. I mean, obviously this rests with ownership. Does ownership get to the point where they're sick of him? It's a weird situation for him contract-wise. $20.9 million for next year, but it's not guaranteed except against injury until March 13th. So they could cut him healthy if they decide to. So 6 games. If it ends up being a 6-game suspension, a 4-game suspension, whatever. And and something else comes out or he doesn't play well, I mean, that all of a sudden gets called into question.
Yeah, it just feels like there would be, double secret probation, zero tolerance coming, into the NFL after what happened in college. And
you would think, but quarterback makes people do funny things.
Yeah, but he's not great. The ratio of trouble to performance, it's not in his favor. And that would be the real concern I have with him.
Every NFL team, and again, let's not minimize what he's accused of. We're not. But when we talk about strictly from a football decision perspective, every NFL team, if it's confronting the issue of do we move on from our quarterback, has to answer the question, if so, then what? And that's a terrifying question for most NFL teams, and it keeps a lot of quarterbacks employed.
One final thing, and it should be mentioned, you cover the NFL for ESPN, but you used to be a baseball beat writer covering the Yankees. I had this idea for the home run derby. What if we we totaled up the feet you hit a home, like the distance per home run? Not the number, because there are times when guys have hit, what Hamilton did, where you're hitting 25 and then the guy you're competing with to, move on to the next round, he hits 9. What if I just we're doing total feet? Because it's all about how far we're hitting home runs. So,
but then why don't we just count them all anyway? I mean, why didn't Hamilton's 25 help him in the next round? Like, I don't understand.
I agree, but we don't.
Like the most home runs.
Yeah. First of all, tell me how great my idea is, though.
It's good. I mean, it's fine. I think it's one of those things where if you change the rules every single year, who would care, right? It's just some goofy contest, and it's fun, and people will tune in and watch it because it's fun. But I don't think you're going to have a whole big problem with people ranting and raving, say, well, this isn't fair because there was different rules last year, and how can you – I mean, this isn't like, these aren't real records. So, I mean, I would try something different every single year. I would have one year where I just did pitchers, right, and have, like, who are the great hitting pitchers that would love to do that.
But I wanted to do this with the three-point shooting contest where I had an NBA legend and a current NBA player. So Del Curry and his son would go against each other. Steve Kerr could compete in it with Klay Thompson, or, Klay Thompson and his dad could be in it. But make it fun. And what if I did like a Hall of Famer and then I did a current guy? Like you had a draft and you could pick guys and they could be like Mike Schmidt's in the home run derby and George Brett's in the home run derby. I don't know.
I'm watching that.
I got a lot of spare time on my hands. I got a lot of spare time on my hands, Danny. Hey, good to talk to you. Good to see you a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Dan Graziano. He's covering the NFL for the mothership there.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.